Hello, hello. I am having issues with this ring light. Like, I almost think I have it where I want it, and then it goes somewhere else. But we're going to work with it. We're going to go with what we have here. It's kind of like at an angle. Whatever. Okay. I need to, like, make a circle right here so I can see exactly where the camera is supposed to be. I just found out that YouTube has a 10-second lag. I want to turn the light down a little bit. Okay, well, that didn't work. Oh, there we go. Yeah, 10-second lag from YouTube. Everything's kind of wonky. Anyway, let's talk about rabies. 100% fatal. If you contract rabies, 100% fatality rate. Shame, shame, shame. All right. But while we're talking about rabies, I thought we'd make some wonderful little resin bats. I don't know if you can see that. Again, there's so much lag. Little bats. Okay. Oh, I love YouTube. Yeah, the thing is, like, it's turning. It's turning on its own. I think I need to tighten it up or something because it's like sagging. It's sad. It's sad. I don't know how to tighten this part of it up. Crazy. Because I want it to go down more, but it just won't. I gotta stop messing with it. I need to just, like, getting the shit figured out. Where I want it to be. Fucker. Oops, sorry. Oh no, I'm gonna get demonetized by YouTube. Like, I'll ever be monetized anyway. Oh my freaking god. Okay, whatever. We're just gonna put it in there, and whoever it is how it is. Because I'm tired of messing with it. I'm tired of it. YouTubes. Okay, good enough. Good enough. So we're gonna make some little bats. So I have some UV resin, just whatever cheapo brand. I have all the little bits that we might need to do that. So, trying to find, when we're doing something as small as these bats, I like to use, like, just a little toothpick for it. Wow, that looks so washed out. But I have it down pretty low. Just turn it down a little bit more. And the second I touch it, it just... My dog's actually chewed up the cord to this ring light. So it's like... Let's try the different lighting modes and see what happens. So we have this one. Waiting for it to show up on the stream. You God, no. And then there's this, like, warm one. I think the natural light is probably going to be the best. Oh my God, no, that's awful. Okay, we'll stick with this. Yeah, it just keeps sagging back down. It's just like, I don't know how to get it to stay. I feel like there's a piece to it. Oh, there is. I need an Allen wrench though. Dang. What a hunk of junk. That's okay, whatever. Alright, I'll just have to keep messing with it. And everybody says practice makes perfect, but I go through the same thing every single time. Everybody knows that. Okay, so I have some different little mica powders. We have deep copper, silver, champagne. Let's see here, what else? Pearl gray. And there's glitter and stuff too. I also have alcohol inks in about 20 different colors. So I guess we can try some of those. Not violet. I'm gonna get out some brown. And maybe black. For some reason I think my baths should be brown, not black. Ooh, but we can mix them. Okay, so I'm just gonna put everything else off to the side. And I also have a lot of little, I've just collected these over time. Like I bought like a resin kit that had these little spoons, which I don't usually use because they're awfully big. And when you're making something as small as this with the UV resin, a spoon this big is gonna definitely like way overkill. So I'm gonna set him to the side. But what I do like to use is the very, very tip of these silicone. And you can tell I've used them a lot. They have like different little stuff on them. Anyway. And I have another one too. Where'd it go? Oh, there we go. This one also has a little spoon. Again, too much. But I like the little spatulas. Pipettes, which can come in handy. Once we mix everything together, you can pick it up and then squish it in there. These are absolutely exquisitely small. I wish I would have grabbed a syringe or something, but too late now. I also have a dental pick, which works really well for like getting little bubbles out. So I'm just kind of going through all my supplies before we actually get talking about this stuff. Again, there's glitter. I have all different colors. I think that's it as far as resin supplies. My little torch. This thing is sinking lower and lower, so I have to straighten it back out again. Allen wrench. Shame. Alrighty, I think that's all that we need for this project. I also like when I'm doing bigger projects, actually even with these, sometimes I'll use the popsicle stick to stir it. And I have about 1,000 different types of tools. And I have notes. Yay, notes. Okay. So, just kind of a disclaimer, I'm going to say that everybody should wear your gloves, and depending on what kind of resin you're using, like a respirator or whatever type of protective equipment that you might need. Tweezers are helpful. I like these ones with the very fine tip. Actually, these aren't even the best ones. Nope, not those. And my lucky bone, which is my favorite bone. As far as other extra stuff that might come in handy when you're doing this, let's see here. Where is it? Oh, the UV light, duh. Where did I put it? Right over here. because the only way you're going to get this UV resin to cure is with the UV light. Yeah, notes. Well, if you look at the notes, awful. I'm going to put them up here. Absolutely awful. I hate the lag. I hate it so much. There has to be a solution with. But anyway, yeah, like, I think one of these days very soon I'm going to do like just a practice stream where I just kind of baloney, maybe talk about some random, yeah, sorry, I know that's distracting. Some random disturbing facts, and just kind of tweak everything, get everything tightened up the way it should be. Yeah. So I know it's kind of sucking, but we're working. We're working with it. So again, UV light. I don't want to shine it too much on the resin. And this isn't my favorite one, but I don't know where my favorite one is. But this one will work because these are so small. And if you're using UV resin, you want to use a mold that is clear. And you don't want to pour more than like, I think it's 10 millimeters. So a centimeter, that sounds like way too much. 10 millimeters sounds like too much, but you don't want to pour very thick because then it won't cure. So if you have to do a deeper project, I have a doctor's handwriting. Oh my God, I do too. It's so bad. Sometimes I can't even like read my own handwriting. This thing is going to be the death of me. I wish I had I might be able to, let me try something. Hope you can't see me. Well, that's definitely not going to work. I'm literally taking a pair of pliers and I can't even get a grip on it. Yeah, that's not going to work. Anyway, Allen wrench for the future. I was looking to see if any of these tools might very well be used as that. Actually, you know what? I think I have something right over here. It's not an Allen wrench, but it might work. Where did I put it though? That's baloney. Baloney. Oh, there it is. No, I just opened up this little. No. Anyway, oh well. For next time. Deep pour, yes, that's correct. Check the fridge. Yeah, well, you think that with as many Allen wrenches as there are around here that I would have one like within reach. Anyway, so pardon the constant camera angle messing because I'm having technical difficulties with it. Alright, so I have all my stuff here. These can go off to the side. Use the torch for popping bubbles. Well, let's talk about rabies. Rabies. Rabies is a zoonotic disease. It's viral. Zoonotic means that it is transmitted through animals, from animals to humans, more specifically. Sorry, I'm not. I don't know. I'm having a hard time transitioning between the talking and the crafting. But and this light is so dim, I can't see anything. I'm not gonna put a lot of resin in here because with the UV resin, I found that if you use a lot, like you'll end up wasting a bunch of it. Even with the deep pour, which I actually have some, it's not deep pour, but it's just regular epoxy with, where you have to measure it and stuff. The thing about the regular epoxy versus the UV resin is with the regular epoxy, you have to mix it accurately for one thing. And for another thing, you have a short working time. Now, your working time can be longer or shorter depending on what kind of, like what the temperature is, what the temperature of the resin is, what the temperature in the room is. Yeah. I found that I run out of time when I'm working with the epoxy because I'm very particular about how I like to have things. So the UV resin won't cure unless it's exposed to UV rays, either through I'm using a pin light for it. You can also use the little like the gel nail. I don't know, call it the UFO. I can't think of what they're called. Like a nail light, or even setting it out in the sun. And sometimes the sun actually works the best. Sometimes after I use the flashlight, if it's still a little bit tacky, I'll take them and set them outside or set them in the windowsill or something. All right. Let's see what colors we want. Let's start with the black. So rabies is a type of what's called a Lissa virus, which the term Lissa in this regard means rage or violence, depending on which source you look at. Rage or violent. Rabies is considered to be 100% fatal once symptoms show up. I put 1 drop of brown, 1 drop of black. That might be too much because if you use a lot of inclusions with the UV, sometimes it has a hard time. It has a hard time curing. So like where'd it go? Oh, the thinner that it is, the better. So if you use like a lot of mica powder, it can have a hard time. Sorry, I have background and I was listening. I had background noise. But if it's thick, you'll have a hard time getting it to, oh my God, I'm so sorry. By thick, I mean like if there's a lot of inclusions, I guess I should say, it might not cure properly. And you couldn't use this little with the standard epoxy because it would like instantly set because it's such a small amount. I don't know that I care for the way this looks. I might add a tiny bit of the mica powder, maybe just a tiny bit. I don't know, let's make a tiny one. Let's make one of these tiny bats. The lighting on the stream looks bright, but is actually very, very dim. Let's make the tiny. I'm actually going to use no, I won't use the toothpick. I will use the tip of this because it has more of a flexible end on it. So I'm going to keep stirring it up. I don't know, I like it to be kind of like mixed up a lot. It doesn't really matter. If you like it swirly, you can not mix it as much. But rabies is transmitted through the saliva of mammals. You cannot catch it from reptiles or fish, only mammals. And it is not transmitted through the blood, as I thought, because I thought it was in the blood too, but I just learned recently that it's not. It's only in the saliva. So that's interesting. Yeah, I can't see. I gotta turn this light up a little bit more. Dang, I still feel like I can't see. Maybe I'm just getting blind in my old age. It's kind of messy. I don't really mind making too much of a mess because I can clean it up afterwards. Again, you're not on any time constraint with the UV. You can take as much time as you need or want. And I like to fill up the molds just a tiny bit more than you need to, because they do shrink a tiny bit when you go to cure it. And this is so small. You can't really see bubbles. There might be some. I think there might be one right here in the corner. It's so small I can't get to it. So here's where you come in with the torch and just lightly brush across it, just real quick. Just if you do it too much, it'll like literally burn it, or it'll burn it to the mold. So I'm gonna move this away because I'm gonna blast it with the light, and I don't want any of the light to hit that. So around the world, people don't really think about rabies that much in the United States or even in England, but about 59,000 people die every year from rabies, mostly in Asia and Africa. By Asia, I mean like India for the most part. In Indian and African countries, the most common culprit is wild dogs. I don't know that this is strong enough to do anything. Is it doing anything? Oh yeah, it's done. It's going. Wild dogs, but we don't really have that problem that much here in America or in England because of the rigorous vaccination policy for most dogs. In the U.S., most of the time, rabies is transmitted through bats. Bats, foxes, skunks, raccoons. But it can be transmitted through any mammal. Let's see here. Where am I going with this? The thing about rabies that makes it so scary is that sometimes you'll get bit by a bat and you won't even notice it. Like you won't even feel it. I'm gonna lift the camera up because it's rotating again. I'm about ready to stick something under there to hold it up. Let's see what I have here. What's this? Too tall. Yep, that'll work. Perfect. All right, let's see what we got here for this first little guy. Pop. And there he is. Just a tiny little guy. Cute. Not very colorful though. Let's make some out of mica powder. And you can't really see him because he's so small. And don't mind my old gnarly copy of Cujo here. What was I looking at? Oh. I gotta adjust something on here on the laptop. Welcome to live chat. Mm-hmm. All right. And there he is, just a tiny bat. Okay. Let's mix some other stuff in here. And then we'll make a few more. A lot of the time, people will get bit by bats and not even realize it. Like, they won't even feel it. They won't even feel it. Like, sometimes there won't even be bleeding. There won't be any marks at all. People will just wake up, not notice anything, and won't know that they're actually infected until they start showing symptoms. And that's what makes it so incredibly scary, is that, oh, thank you. That's what makes it so incredibly scary, is that by the time that you start showing symptoms, it's too late. It's too late to save you. And I'm just gonna dip. I'm gonna dip right in just a tiny bit. And we'll mix it in. Let's see here. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. Rabies can be transmitted through humans, just the same as any other mammal. The thing is that there have been no documented cases of human to human transmission through bites, but there have been cases of organ transplants, corneal transplants, even though I'm not sure if it's in the saliva only, how that works, if maybe it had already moved into the nervous system in those organs. It wasn't, the articles that I researched this on wasn't clear about that. Oh, way down. So it wasn't clear about how the organ transmission worked, but there have been cases of people catching rabies from organ transplants and dying. They actually did an episode of Scrubs about that. Or was it House? Scrubs? House? I think it was Scrubs. Or maybe both. Where the lady had rabies and then she transmitted it to, she passed away and then donated her organs and then all of them died. Let's see here. Incubation period. Generally 1 to 3 months, but can be anywhere from days to years. There's been documented cases of people becoming symptomatic after, like, one guy was like 8 years after being bitten by a dog in like Brazil or something. I shouldn't do this right over my book, but it's pretty raggedy. I've read it several times. This actually was my mom's. There have been cases of one guy shared a beer with his horse and contracted rabies that way. Just really bizarre stuff sometimes. So symptoms can appear anywhere from, usually just a couple of months, but can be up to years. Lost where I was going with that. The symptoms, once they appear, and I didn't write this down in my notes, but rabies is one of those diseases that it wants to be in the nerve pathways. So even though you get bit, it's very slow moving because it wants to go through the nerves, but it has to work its way through the muscles first until it reaches a nerve. So if you get bit on your toe, for example, it'll take it a lot longer to get to, your central nervous system than if you got bit like on your face. But again, that's so variable. Sorry, lighting is a problem. Because the lighting looks really bright on the screen. A horse walked into a bar. Well, don't share a beer with that horse. You might get rabies. Oh, there's a hare. Of course, there's a hare. Hares will get into this stuff very easily. Just trying to make sure I get all the nooks and crannies, and these are just going to be solid. I'm not making any special designs or anything in these. See, like on this one, I didn't get it all the way up to the corners. I can see it. Lost where I was at too. Symptoms, once they start, usually starts with just general fatigue, maybe a headache, kind of a sense of just not feeling well overall. You might get some numbness and tingling in the affected limb. Why are there hairs everywhere? That'll do it. We'll just do 2 like that and see what happens. Ready? I like to make a little sound effect when I do it. Yeah, it looks okay. Or sometimes you can lift it up and look underneath to see if there's bubbles. Yeah, there's some. You get the toothpick. Oh no, the dental pick. That's where it's at. Yeah, right? Um, so fatigue, headache, backache, numbness and tingling at the site, shaking. Those are kind of the early symptoms. And then later symptoms as the virus progresses are like agitation, excess salivation because the virus wants to spread. So the way that it wants to spread is through the saliva. Therefore, it just makes sense for you to salivate more. So that's kind of where the like foaming at the mouth myth comes in. It's not really foam, it's just like extra saliva and it can look foamy. Ugh, this one got out. It got out. That's okay. We can clean them up afterwards. Another thing that's really handy to have when you're doing this kind of stuff is packs of baby wipes, baby. Easy cleanup. Baby wipes, paper towels, that kind of stuff. Alright, let's blast it. Let's see what we got. So some of the later symptoms are excess salivation, and then some of the most interesting ones are hydrophobia, which is like the fear of water. If you bring a glass of water to someone with rabies, they will react violently against it. I'm going to blast this one more time. Because the water will cause what's called a pharyngeal spasm. The rabies virus does not want you to swallow it. Like, you need to keep it in the saliva so that it can get transmitted. Does this go up and down? Can I adjust this? It does not look like it. No. Yeah, I don't really like this light. This light's crappy. I don't know where the good one is, though. Poopy. Sometimes there will be some aerophobia also, which is pretty much the same thing. If it's except for it's like the fear of wind. So even a strong breeze can make the pharyngeal spasms occur. And that's, I mean, those are the most like, I don't know, I lost it. Agitation. Oh, there are two different forms, and I didn't write this down either. My notes are kind of, yeah. I say that every single time. There's two different forms of rabies. One is furious rabies, what they call furious rabies, and that's like the majority of the cases are furious rabies, which is where people get agitated. Or I say people, but these symptoms are also the same for animals too. I'm trying to see if I can make the beam brighter. Not brighter, but like more concentrated. Sometimes I like to lift it up and go from underneath too. But so there's furious rabies, and then every once in a while you'll get what is most commonly called dumb rabies or paralytic rabies, which is where you don't get all the agitation and a lot of the other symptoms. It's just progressive paralysis. But what ultimately kills the person with rabies is the pharyngeal spasms, and the body just can't, like your brain just can't maintain. So between the hydrophobia and the pharyngeal spasms, So it seems to be like that the main course of treatment would be supportive care, but it just doesn't. So I'm really having a hard time with this tonight. I don't know. I need to just relax and be more natural about it. I might have to go back to my old format of doing the story separately because it's just too hard to focus on the crafts and the talking at the same time. But I guess this is what the practice is for, right? I need to do more of these live streams. I know it's been a hot minute since the last one. So they say that from the onset of symptoms to death is usually anywhere from between like 7 and 10 days, can be up to a couple of weeks. And the reason they say that rabies is 100% fatal is because up until very recently, it has been. There have been, I think they said 4 documented survivors, and they were all treated with something called the Milwaukee Protocol, which is a newer, I didn't write down the doctor's name, but there was Gina Geese, or Geese, guys. I've heard her name pronounced so many different ways. Thank you. She got bit by a bat out at her church, and she was trying to relocate said bat. She was trying to take it from the inside of the church to a bush or whatever, and she got bit on her finger. And her mom didn't think too much about it. She just had her go in and wash it, bandaged it. And then I think they said a couple of months later, she goes in and she just isn't feeling well. And long story short, they finally figure out that she has rabies. Well, the doctors in this hospital are, sorry, I keep getting something popping up over here. I need to cover this up. They're like, well, let's try some experimental treatment here. Like, let's try supportive care, because if we don't, she's gonna die. I mean, like, worst case scenario, she's gonna die anyways. So why don't we try something and see if we can get her to pull through? So the Milwaukee Protocol has been come to known. It's been done on a bunch of people. I think it was like 36 people, but only like 4 survived. But Gina is like the most prolific case of it because spoiler alert, she lived, and she still has some like speech and like gait abnormalities, but she's not cognitively impaired at all. The Milwaukee Protocol involves putting the person into an induced coma, and I'm trying to decide what I think about these. Do I like the silver? I don't know, they're kind of sticky. I'm just going to put some black in there and call it a day. Where's that black? They put her into an induced coma, and they gave her ketamine to help kind of calm her body down. And also, they flooded her system with antivirals, as well as the standard rabies treatment. So pretty much what they were doing was, no, I just knocked it all over the place. That's okay. It'll clean up. Pretty much they just wanted to buy her time for her body to naturally fight it off. And so with her body being, in an induced coma, they were able to kind of slow down the progression of the disease. And when they woke her up, she had quite a bit of initial like deficits, for lack of a better word. But she did survive, and so that was kind of like a miracle, you know? So if someone gets bit or suspected to be bit by any animal whose vaccination status is unknown, you need to preferably get the animal, like let's say I got bit by a bat, preferably to get the bat and bring it with me to the hospital so that they can send it out for testing. But pretty much you're going to want to get the rabies protocol, which is not the same as it used to be. It used to be a lot of shots in the stomach, very painful. And now they don't do as many. They found out that it is effective just to do a few shots. You don't need to do the whole, set of like 20 shots in the stomach or whatever it used to be. Not necessary now. But I'm sorry, I'm looking at this mess I made. It is still a set of injections, which includes the standard rabies vaccine that for humans. It's not this. It's similar to the same ones that they get for dogs, but it's not exactly the same. And also, they give you rabies immunoglobulin. My God, I can't even talk. But and that it's given over a course of so many days. Like, so you get one immediately, and then it's like the next day, and then like 4 days later. It reminds me a lot of the hepatitis B vaccinations. They kind of spread them out over time, and that kind of just boosts your body to have enough like antibodies to fight off the virus or whatever. Now I begged my doctor to give me the rabies vaccine ahead of time because you can get it ahead of time. Like you can be vaccinated for rabies like without actually getting bit. But they usually only do that for people who are in a lot of contact with animals, like veterinarians, researchers, uh, that kind of, like zookeepers. They're not going to give it to just somebody like little old me who's just hanging out in the woods a lot. So, what was easy for me to say? Oh no, a hair. And there's hairs. There's always hairs. But yeah, they wouldn't give it to little old me. So, um, I told my doctor I spent a lot of time in the woods and I'd really like to get vaccinated for rabies if possible. And she's like, not necessary. And I'm like, well, I come into contact with maybe, what if I get bit by something? And she's like, well, then come in and we'll give you the shots after the fact. Like, you don't need them beforehand. Okay, whatever you say, doctor. You're the doctor. So, long story short, I never got my vaccination for rabies. But if I even suspect that I may have been bitten, like, I'm heading to the hospital right away. As should anyone. Like, don't mess around with it. Worst case scenario, you get the shots and you didn't need them. Other worst case scenario, you die from rabies. I mean, yeah, it's not pretty. And it just seems, I've seen the footage of people suffering with rabies and it just looks awful. I mean, it's just awful. The hydrophobia, the shaking. It just looks like miserable stuff, Sorry, I'm not centered. And so I also wanted to talk about one of the most common instances of rabies in pop culture. And there will be Heavy spoilers ahead for both the book and the movie versions of Cujo by Stephen King. It's kind of an old story, so if you get spoiled, catch up to the times because you're way behind. I just feel like I can't get this in there. That'll do it. Good enough. So Cujo came out in, oh my gosh, what year was it? Oh shit. I want to say 81, but that doesn't sound right to me. I guess I could just look right here. Yeah, this is a really old copy. It's all like falling apart. Let's see here. What year were we written in? This is one of the most, 1981. Okay, so I got that. This is one of the notorious books, the notorious book that Stephen King has no recollection of writing at all. He was like on an alcohol and coke field binge the entire time. Is it 81? It was 81. I think the movie came out in, well, I don't know. Did the movie come out in 82? Yeah, it doesn't matter. But pretty much it's just a book about a dog who gets bit by a bat, goes rabid while most of his family is out of town. It was close. And a woman and her son, her small son, I think he's 5, they get in their car, they take their car up to the place where Cujo lives, and it was, the guy's a mechanic. And their car breaks down in his driveway. Well, there's nobody home. Nobody knows where they are. Her husband's out of town. Nobody knows that they're there. And so it's kind of the account of what happens to her over this period of, well, her and her son over the period of like, I think it's 3 or 4 days in the hot summer sun. And they are just trapped in this car and terrorized by this rabid dog. And there's actually accounts, some chapters are actually written from Cujo's point of view. And he doesn't know why he acts this way because he was a good dog originally. But it's just very, very, a lot of the story is very over, like there's a lot of filler in there. This probably could have been a novella. It didn't really need to be. There's just a lot of extra additives that just aren't even necessary. Yeah, I don't know. But the parts of the book that are about the wife's name, her name is Donna, and then the son is Tad. The parts about them when they're in the car with Cujo outside the car terrorizing them they're very well done, very raw and emotional, and you can just feel their utter terror, especially the boy. You can just feel how it's very visceral. I actually haven't. I've read this book several times over the years, and I have not revisited it since I became. Didn't her son have asthma? No, not that I know of. No, I don't think so. I know that he had near the end of the movie in the book, he did have a couple of seizures, and I think that's just from the heat and the dehydration and everything. Gosh, these things are so small, I can't even flip them over. They're so cute. I don't know. The terror is just so visceral that I actually noped out halfway through it the last time that I tried to read it after becoming a mom because I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. The terror from the as it the boy's terror was described in such a visceral way that it just wrecked me. It wrecked me in a way that even Pet Sematary didn't. And that's a whole different can of worms, but let's see here. So as they go, she gets bit by the dog, so she is now infected with rabies. Of course, it's not symptomatic yet because it's too soon. But this dog goes around. The dog goes around town and kind of kills a few people, like out in the woods. Like the owner, Cujo's owner, Joe. Joe gets killed by Cujo. One of their neighbors, and one notable character, Sheriff Bannerman, gets killed by Cujo. And Sheriff Bannerman was, oh my gosh, he was in the Dead Zone. He was mentioned in a couple of other books. I'm totally drawing a blank on which one. No, I think they mentioned him in the Tommyknockers about how. Oh, and he is also in the Dead Zone. But I don't know. It's kind of the progression from good dog to rabid monster, mindless monster it's so well portrayed. And then the major spoilers are like, okay, so I guess I already said that Sheriff Bannerman gets killed because he actually went out there. I cannot remember what brought him out. Like I said, I haven't revisited this book for years. I can't remember why Sheriff Bannerman went out there, but he pulls up and Cujo just like tears him to shreds, kills him. But there are a couple of major differences in the book and the movie. The most notable difference is the ending. And so again, major spoiler, if you haven't read this book or seen this movie, what are you even doing here? No, no, I'm being kind of a butthole. But in the book, the boy dies. He dies. He gets not from Cujo, not from the rabies or whatever. He dies from dehydration from the heat. And in the movie, he lives. So it's kind of a bleaker ending than I think a lot of people are used to. That's for sure. I'm going to add a tiny bit more clear, and I'm going to just fill out the rest of these and just. I was going to do some different colors and things, but I don't think I'm going to now. Or I guess there is one other little, I don't know if you'd call it a technique, but you could just fill them in. Let's find a long one. There's one. I'm just going to put the resin right into the mold. And it might go outside the lines a little bit. That's okay. It'll sink in. And I'm going to get a different toothpick. I'm going to stir it up. Or like to make sure all the little cracks are. Because if you don't watch the corners of these kinds of molds, you will get bubbles down in the corners. Yeah, that's just a little bit too full. So I'll take it off to the side and put it in this tiny one. Oh my gosh, that's so tiny. But it's definitely a good book. And the movie was actually pretty decent too. I mean, it didn't have that gut punch ending. But back in those days, I mean, no movie studio was gonna let, something like that fly. Cujo was bitten by a bat in a cave. All right, so these are actually clear right now. Let's see what color do we have here. Pearl gray, silver. I don't even know what color I put in the first one. Ooh, deep copper. Let's try deep copper. right, here we go. So I'm going to get some of this copper powder and put it in there. And I usually don't like to dip, but I'm going to dip. I'm a double dipper. It's my stuff. I'll double dip if I want to. I should use the dental pick for this because it's so much of a finer tip. And you don't want to get too much because what we're going to do here. Yeah, there's quite a bit on there. That's okay. When you close these containers, you should do it away from your projects because sometimes a little bit will like puff out. You don't want to get the puff. All right, this is fun. I like to do this. And I usually do this on my bigger projects, but you can take this and then just kind of swirl it. See, even the puff from my breath made the powder go all over the place. Yeah, I should have used the dental pick. Oh, there it goes. So you can just kind of swirl it around. If you swirl it too much, then it just gets mixed in and you don't get any effect. Yeah, that's too hard to do in these tiny ones. So I'm just going to put some of this in there. Whatever. And that's what I like about the UV resin. You can sit there and mess around with it, play around with it. Just do whatever. Mix a lot of stuff in. So we made some little bats. I actually have, since I have everything out, I'm going to, yeah, that was a really messy one and there's a hair too. So basically, I'm going to wrap up the rabies thing. Your best defense is a good offense or whatever. Is that the saying? Is that how the saying goes? Double dipper. I know, right? The best defense. Is it the best offense is a good defense? Is that how that saying goes? I don't know. I'm no good at that stuff. All I know is that get your dogs vaccinated. If you suspect you might have been bitten by something, get yourself vaccinated. Hairs, man. No, it went on my tablecloth. That's okay, it'll wipe off. If you think you may have been bitten or even suspect it, get your ass to the hospital ASAP. Preferably take the animal that supposedly bit you with you, if you can. And that's about all I have to say about that. So that was kind of, I don't know. I really need to sit down and like practice these in advance, like literally practice what I'm going to say beforehand and catch where I stumble. Because like I know a lot of this stuff like the proverbial back of my hand, but I just, oh wait, I never used the little suctioner thingy. I know like the proverbial back of my hand is just, I just get between doing the handiwork here and trying to remember all the details that I didn't write down. I also have this bad habit of like watching the screen over here so I can see the chat. But then I also get distracted by, I'm like, okay, the lighting is too bright. Or blah, blah, blah. Thank you. Thank you. There's always something. There's always something. See, I don't know. These are so small. The tip of this thing looks huge. This probably usually works better with a smaller mold. Or a bigger mold, I mean. These are so small. Yeah, so small. It reminds me of like a, I don't know, it's kind of overkill. One of the best ways to clean up the resin, as far as the UV resin, or actually any kind of resin actually, is rubbing alcohol. The higher isopropyl content, the better. It's like if you have 90, 70 works pretty well, 90. Yeah, this tiniest one, I'm like, just gonna make a big mess with it. It'll all clean up in the end. But I have so many of these things that, like, it's not worth it to me to clean them out, so I just toss them most of the time. Yeah. All right, let's blast them. I don't know, there's still a little bit left. Should we just use it up? Let's just use it up. You want a bat now? Oh, I'll have some for you. Yeah, this definitely works better. Just dabbing it in there with a little. The toothpick almost works the best. See, and if I was working with the epoxy, the mixed kind, like, it would be set by now, and I'd just be still sitting here, like, and it'd be all gooey and tacky. And I kind of rush these. I didn't like. I don't know. I'm usually so particular about them, but they're small. They're easy to make. Like, I'm gonna put this big blob right here. Bloop. And if these were any bigger than this, there's enough inclusions in there that they wouldn't set if they were any deeper than this. I am hungry. What sounds good to eat? You can see some air bubbles floating around in there. Is that all of them? Good enough. Again, I like to overfill them just a tiny bit. And yeah, because I don't want to waste this resin, so. Pizza? We don't have any pizza. Actually, we don't have a lot of anything. Got to go to the grocery store. Actually, I went to the store today, but I don't know. It was cold and gross outside, and there wasn't any good sales or anything. It just, so you can see a big bubble right in the corner of that one. I'm gonna pop that sucker. Sometimes the torch won't get them out if they're real deep in the mold. Like if they're all the way at the bottom of the design, sometimes the torch won't get them. Like I can see one over here, right there. Turning it like that is dangerous because knowing my luck, I'll spill it out all over the place. Burger, no. Yeah, we have like. We don't have any spaghetti, but we do have some cheese ravioli. I might heat up some of those. Or some macaroni and cheese. Sounds good. Or maybe like a baked potato. I could always eat a baked potato. So I'm really curious as to what they'll do with rabies in the future, if they'll find a better method. Uh-oh. I thought I was out of juice. Yeah, they're those like 4 cheese ravioli. Frozen. I don't think I have any sauce to go with them though. Or maybe I do, but the sauce doesn't sound good. I just want the ravioli. Alright, let's blast these suckers. I really wish I had a bigger. Ooh, I have the. I'm gonna get the UFO. If I can lean over without getting my sweater and everything. This is what I call the UFO. Because you pull open the little legs. You gotta plug it into something. Oh my gosh, yes, baked potato actually does sound delicious. Do I have any plugins open down here? Ooh, electric blanket. And I just realized I didn't plug in my phone, so I don't know how much battery I have left. Do I have anywhere I can plug this in? Probably plug it into this computer, laptop. All right, yeah, baked potato is probably gonna be the winner. So you set this guy up. This one I don't think has a button. A lot of them have a button you push, and then they shut off automatically after like 60 seconds or something. This one doesn't. I think you just have to unplug it when it's done. I like that, because then you don't have to sit there and hold it. I usually will flip it over afterwards, though. Like, after this side cooks for a little while, flip it over to the other side so both sides get nice and cooked. These little bats are freaking adorable. Oh my gosh, they're so cute. So cute. All right, that's enough on that side. Let's see what. Let's flip it over. Yeah, they're pretty much done. I don't want to put it against the cloth though, just in case there's still some stickiness on it. Do, 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 do. Yep, yep, yep. That'll do it. Baked potato and electric blanket. Actually, I have to do. Oh shit! And I gotta get up. Like I gotta get up soon actually, because I got a doctor's appointment in the morning. Just for a checkup, nothing. But I also have to do my computer portion of my CPR thing that is due in the morning. Actually, it's tomorrow night, because I have to do this hands-on portion of it. So I am gonna have to finish these up and get the hell out of here. Let's pop them out. There's a cat in here. Were you in here the whole time? Cat was in here the whole time. Like this little guy was so small that. Oh my gosh, it's so small. They're cute though. And even though it went out of the mold a little bit, those parts you can just like knock right off. There you have it. So you have what's possibly, in my opinion, one of the most scary, fatal diseases of all time, and little bats, and a kind of quickie rundown of Cujo. And I have to get my training done. Bats, bats, bats. Maybe we'll do some more resin work next time. I actually laid out all the stuff to do another project here with the tape by Cujo. You get the tape, and then I have one of these little moons. Actually, I can get it started. So you get the tape out, and then you press. You have to do it right on the edge because the way the molds are, it's crappy. Press them down. The main thing is not to have any openings because the resin will leak out if you do. See if I have any scissors in my little caddy. My circular caddy. Which bat is yours? Shoot, all of them. I don't know. I'll make a bunch. Could make them in different colors and stuff too. Stuff's falling over. I don't even know what that is. Alrighty. And then with the UV resin, if you're going to do something like this where you're going to put an inclusion in it, you should probably always put like a little layer down first. Just want to make sure there's no gaps because it'll run all over the place. So you're going to put a tiny layer down. Just enough to make a thin little, even though I said I was like, oh, I got to go to bed, I'm not going to do this. Yeah, I'm going to do it anyway. Because you don't want your inclusions laying flat against the tape. Yeah, got it all over the place a little bit. That's okay. You have to have a layer of resin in between. It doesn't need to be that thick. I put a little, there was a little much there. But that's okay. I'm having a heck of a time getting it to go flat. I'm just going to wipe off the mess I made on the outside of it. I mean, you don't have to, but it just makes it easier. Blast it with the torch. I don't even think there's any bubbles in that. I don't see any. Maybe back in the corner, but. Alright, got it. And then we're gonna boom, UV it. Just to get that kind of cured up a little bit. And then whatever you put on the inside of it, I'm sticking to it. whatever you put on the inside of it will have that layer in between. I actually pulled out some. We got some stars and moons and stuff here. Let's go. I lost the lid. I lost the lid to the resin. Oh, there it is. All right, that's enough. It doesn't have to be solid. And there goes the camera. It's like sliding down. Pretty decent. I always have that problem. And now I don't know how to avoid getting the tape residue off the back of it. That's something I'll have to look into. See, it's like a little clear patina. Yeah, I don't know. I'll have to look into that to figure out how to keep the tape from getting stuck on there. Anyway, what I'll probably end up doing is just sanding it off with some high grit sandpaper. See, you can get your little tweezers here. So this will be the front. Again, that'll be gone. And what is that, little suns and moons, stars? Let's pick out some stars. There's a couple. They're all stuck together. So if the other side is the front, then we layer these guys on there. Like this. And usually I fill it up with the resin first. I'm just kind of using this to just as a decorative thing. I don't know where the cat has been this entire time. Goo gone? Yeah, maybe. These are fun. I like working with this stuff. I've had these for a long time. Like there's a little. And there's moons. More moons, more moons. Different stars. That's the front of it, I think. And then essentially you just cover it up. If you want to put a colored layer on the back, you can. I usually do because I think they look weird without it. Like if it's just see-through. Let's see what else we got in here. A lot of moons. I don't want to add a moon to a moon. Ooh, these tiny stars. I like it. Let's get a few of those. But then I was like, these aren't my usual tweezers. These ones aren't as good. The ones I usually use are really fine point, like These ones feel blunt compared to the ones I usually use. I don't see them in here though. But that was essentially the end of the show. But I'll probably rearrange these in a different way. Like maybe I'll put this one over here. Oh, there was 2 of those. I don't want 2 of those. I only want 1. I think I'll put this one over here. Maybe this guy there. I don't know. You get a lot of room to play with it. Especially if you're not like trying to hurry because your stuff's getting solid. There are a lot of little moons though. Anyway. Alright folks, that'll be all for today. I might continue this project on our next episode. I don't know what I'll be talking about. Pretty much whatever strikes my fancy, I guess. But I really do need to get my training done and get to bed. So I will see you all next time. And thank you to my lovely supporter, Tired of the BS, or Bull S. And I will see you on the next one. Bye.